Hello, it's Adam Morrison. When it comes to top-tier contracting, my go-to choice is McGilvery Environmental. I know a thing or two about excellence, and that's exactly what you'll find with Kip McGilvery and his team. They're not just any contractor, they're the best in Spokane and North Idaho. From start to finish, they ensure your project is completed with the highest quality results. With years of experience and expertise, they handle it all. New construction, meticulous repairs, asphalt paving for residential and commercial properties, excavation, and even environmental remediation. So why wait? Reach out to Kip McGilvery Environmental today by calling 208-556-6384 for your free estimate. Don't forget to mention my name, Adam Morrison, and experience the difference McGilvery Environmental brings to the table. Again, that's 208-556-6384, McGilvery Environmental. My number one choice for all my contracting needs. M4 CPA is a family-owned accounting firm passionate about helping businesses and their owners create a secure future for their families. They pride themselves on the quality of their work and put their clients first, ensuring they get the attention and care they deserve. Their mission is to provide exceptional accounting services to help you achieve your financial goals. M4 CPA is all about building long-term relationships based on trust, integrity, and transparency. With a team of experienced professionals, they offer personalized solutions to meet your needs. If you're a Perimeter listener, here's an exclusive offer for you. Mention the Perimeter podcast when you reach out to M4 CPA and get a free business consultation to assess your financial strategies. So, if you're looking for an accounting firm that truly cares about your business, trust M4 CPA. Accounting you can trust with a personal touch. Learn more at m4cpa.com. Season 5, Episode 10 of The Perimeter, sponsored by McGilvery Environmental, Idaho Central Credit Union, M4 CPA. We got an interesting podcast today. We're going to talk about the UCLA game and Climate Pledge got off the snide there. And then a big game coming up against Oregon, kind of an old rivalry between coaches. I'll be curious to see if this series continues, just because it's obviously two West Coast teams, two big fan bases in the same region. And we'll talk about that game. Then we play Campbell on Wednesday. So, it was kind of our last. Oregon will count as 1-2, I think, but kind of our last chance to get like a quad 1, quad 2 in the non-conference. Mm-hmm. And we've been terrific so far. Obviously 9-1 leading up to it, and so. With the only loss to probably the best team in the country, Michigan, no question. So it wasn't like a nervous game, but it was like, okay, it's nice to get another one of these on the docket, because going into West Coast Conference, St. Mary's is always good, but this year's a little bit down, Ken Palm-wise and all that stuff. San Francisco's okay in that regard, and usually they're a formidable opponent in their in regards to Ken Palm and RPI and all those things. But also, like the same old story with Gonzaga, you have to kind of stack these wins and play, harder non-conference, and it makes for better, content and greater things. But then also people get nervous if we lose a couple of those, like last year. Then you can walk around town and what the hell's wrong? It's like, oh my God.
Right.
Exactly,
for sure.
Exactly. And you just kind of like, okay, whatever. So,
yeah,
going into this game, we haven't won inside of Climate Pledge besides a Sweet Six, or not a Sweet 16, an NCAA tournament game. We haven't won a regular season game there. And the last time we won, like a just a normal game, was in Key Arena. So that was a question that was brought up to Coach Few in the pregame show, and I don't think he was happy to answer by Huddy, and Huddy was kind of joking about it. Like, he said it in a nice way, but he's like, we haven't won in this arena, and he's like, we've won in Seattle, you know what I mean? And like, so that part was kind of funny, but, to be fair, and Huddy brought it up too, it's like, well, we did play Alabama, Purdue, and UConn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was UConn, Kentucky, and Alabama. Okay, so those are three pretty good teams, and then we had the Kentucky one. We played really well for about 31 minutes of that, and then there's a 9-minute spurt where they came back in that second half, and then ended up winning overtime or whatever it was. But, so it was interesting going into that game, because that place
gets close to sold out. It's a lively atmosphere. We have a lot of fans in Seattle. You know, a lot of alumni base, and then you know, people that went to school here and then moved over there. Blah blah blah. And so you want to play well for those fans that don't get a watch. You know, or go to home games, obviously, but it's not very often that a football school has that much of a following, is my point.
Right.
So you want to play well there. And you know, going into that game, I talked about it a ton, was like, it was who can get their style going the best.
Right.
When they're in the low 70s, high 60s, you'd bet on UCLA to win. If we could get above 75, then, you know, I feel like we could win. But they're also a team that's not skilled. So, like, it's always a caveat when you say that, you describe that. It's like they're not skilled basketball players. So it's not like they can't hang with you. It's just they just play a slower style. And so it's kind of curious to go into that game, because you're like, well, if we get this, 71, we're going to win. It's like, no, we've played it in the past where they play the same style. Obviously, Mick Cronin, and we've scored in the 80s and they've scored in the 80s, and we still won. But you know what I mean? So it goes both ways. But the year before in Intuit Dome in L.A., the score was 65-62, and I remember that game was terrible for us, just as aesthetically. I mean, we ended up losing by 3. We didn't play very good. It was like, how are we even in this game?
Yeah.
So, going into it, I was like, okay, the start. How are we going to look the start? Didn't start off great. Like the first about 3-4 possessions, I think we were down 6-0 or something like that. It was like, oh my God. And obviously, and I'm just saying that from the climate pledge deal that I just explained. I was like, oh God, please, let's not play shitty in this building again, because they're going to cancel the whole fucking thing. Like, Fewey's never going to come back over here.
Yeah, it's how I was feeling at the beginning of the game too. I was just like,
right? It's just like, you don't want to start thinking that stuff, because basketball's a game of runs and spurts and all that stuff. But like, I was like, this building might be haunted, man. Like, we're just not going to come play here anymore, and that sucks, because it's fun to go over there, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so, they start off solid, and I got to give Mick Cronin credit. He 2-2-1 pressed us and, like, run and jumped. So, like, climb up India, almost kind of inviting you to go by in the backcourt, and then sprinting off and double teaming right away. You haven't seen that since probably high school, and it's not like you're just going to fumble it off your knee, but it messes up the complete flow of your offense, because by the time you get it over, you might be at 22, 21, and then by the time you're in your set, you're in at 18. Oh shit, you know what I mean? And so, like, from just a pure basketball perspective, I was like, you know what? I like when guys try shit against us. I just don't never understand, and I've said it on the radio a million times. Like, the teams that come in, and this is not talking about UCLA, but just in general, that are like not personnel can match up with us. How come they never like try zone or fuck around and try something different? And like, Mick Cronin's a top 25, their top 25 team. He's a really good basketball coach. He's been there 8 years. Like, he's good.
Yeah.
He came out in that, and then they went into like a matchup 2-3 zone, and it really messed us up for probably like the first 8 possessions. Probably didn't have it on our scouting report. Like, obviously we seen him do it, but they were really good at it. And so that was part of the slow start that we had offensively. And like I said, just from a pure basketball standpoint, I was like, all right, I kind of like this. It's kind of cool, even though it's not going in our favor. You know what I mean? Because I like when guys, try things. So once we got past that and started, establishing high-lows, especially against the zone, obviously we started scoring the basketball better. I think it bothered Mario at the start, not in a way that he was like turning it over, but it was just something you don't see as a guard very often, when you get run and jumped, and then you got to get your way through it. Obviously, as a Division I basketball player, you should be equipped for it, but again, it just messes up your flow. It gets you into a spot where you're not kind of running your offense. And to be honest, in the first half, the only guys that played well were 2 bigs. Surprise. Graham Ike was terrific, 6 of 7, monster dunk in the first half. That right-handed, I mean, he's had some really good ones in his career. If you look back, and he's not a leaper, that's why it's cool, because he does get up, but he's not an athletic guy in the sense of you think of him as a dunker. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
but like lefties are usually more ambidextrous because you have to be. So, like, when they score their offhand, it's just cooler, but it's also like, they're kind of used to it. But he's dunked a shit ton with his right hand. You know what I mean? And the fact that he can palm it.
Yeah.
So that thing obviously really got us going. Braden was terrific as well. He had 14. They were both 6 for 7. Graham also had 4 assists. We shot it well. We were 18 of 31 in the first half, 3-11 from downtown. Again, that's something that we have to kind of watch, but Graham makes a 3 and Braden makes a 3, so that's the other funny part of that. So there are 2 of the 3 makes. But once we establish like the middle of the floor, if obviously the people listening to this understand basketball for the most part. Growing up, how do you beat his zone? You hit the middle, and we finally started doing that. And then we got our high lows and got our single coverage post ups against the zone. People don't understand sometimes, your middle guy in the bottom of the zone offensively has to activate the middle defensive guy. And so that means posting him up, cutting and making him rotate so he can't just protect the rim, because I got that tall Booker kid who thought it was a terrific athlete. And then it stretches the defense out. And once we got that going, then we kind of got into a rhythm. Obviously, 18 to 31 is great, but it was a slow down pace again. What's interesting, if you look at the first half as well, even on the glass, 13-13, they were not great on the glass per se. They were only +3 as an average. We're +12, but some of that's a caveat. We played Southern Utah. Like, we're a +8, +9, I think, by the end of the year.
Right.
But also, my point is, like, UCLA is always known for toughness, defense. We're going to hit you in the mouth. So, like, when you looked at the rebound numbers, like, man, I think that I expect that to be up to like 6. You know what I mean? A little bit higher than 3.
Right.
But I did put on there, like, rebounding battle was going to be something that, matters. So even is okay. You're not getting your ass kicked, obviously. But we have 10 more field goal attempts than them. They're only 12 of 21. So obviously the pace was in our favor, if that makes sense. I felt good going into halftime, obviously up 5, playing good enough. 45 is obviously a great number. We're averaging around upper 80s or 92 or whatever. So about your average. And against a team like that, you're like, okay. But they just have a way to, like, kind of stick around.
They do, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we were playing better than them once we got through the zone, got through that 2-2-1 press that you don't see very often, like I said. And then you look up and you're like, shit, we're only up 5. But you're like, that's why they're a good basketball team. They're going to hang around, get in a fist fight with you, and then wait for their spurt. And then I thought when they came out in the second half, they had more energy.
They did, yeah.
And we started that second half 3 of 14. And I think they took like a 4-point lead or something like that. And I remember thinking, just not just saying it's on the pod. I just remember thinking right at half, I was like, oh shit, this is like Kentucky. We can't make a shot at this end. Like, if we come back here next year, we're going to switch benches. So we were shooting on I swear to God, because we started 3 of 14, and it wasn't like a lack of energy. We just couldn't make a shot. And I was like, oh man, this place is going to explode if we blow another one of these deals. So, it was interesting because they made some adjustments, obviously kind of got out of that 2-2-1, stayed in the zone a little bit, but then went back to man. So then we had to readjust to that. Good double teams when we threw it inside. And then it was about after the first media, our second unit came in, and I thought Braden Smith was terrific off the bench. He was +12 on the plus-minus. That's something that goes unheralded.
Yeah.
I think Adam Miller was terrific. He had a corner 3 there. He ended up having 9 points, 3 of 3, extremely efficient off the bench. He was +15. And then Tyon ended up having a good second half. as well, with just energy and flying around. He was +9. So my point is, once UCLA took that lead and we started off stagnant, we went to that second unit, and they went on like in an 8-0 run and got the lead back with us and made like just hustle plays. I mean, Tyon had a scrum bucket. Jalen had a scrum bucket. You know what I mean? Just flying around, getting their hands on balls. Like I said, Braden Smith had a great play where it got skipped, and I could see it before it was coming, but he did exactly what you tell your 7th grade boys team or girls team to do. Skip, you're against a zone. You attack the gap knowing that you're probably not going to get the shot. It forces the corner guy to drop, and then you skip it to your shooter. You know what I mean? Like, you can just see it's like, oh, take the gap. Did that, 2-foot stop, hits the guy, whacks a 3, and then about 2 possessions later, he hits a big 3 in the corner, right in front of us at the angle. And so I was like, man, that was a really good minutes. Like, this, you know what I mean? Like, he has 3 points, doesn't show up, plays 12 minutes back home. But like that unit kind of turned the tides for us, and it was good to see. I mean, obviously we've talked about the depth all year long, but it's nice when kids make the right basketball plays and it impacts the winning on the floor. And a lot of this is not a knock, but a lot of whatever average basketball fans are just not as deep of thinking of basketball. I mean that in the right way. Don't see those things. Right. So that's why I'm trying to point them out. It's like those guys were terrific and just did the right things. And then defensively on the other end, they're good. They got the crowd into it. So that kind of turned the tide back into about going into the third media, and then we controlled the game after that. Made free throws down the stretch. Ended up 32, but we made the right ones at the right time. We go +7 on the glass, which was terrific. 13 assists, only 8 turnovers. They have 10 turnovers, so a clean game for the most part. Graham Ike was terrific again, 25 and 5 and 5 assists, no turnovers, 9 of 16. Braden was terrific as well. Braden Huff, 7 of 12, 6 of 8 from the free throw line. He's been a shitty free throw shooter this year, so that I'm pointing that out, and I mean that in a nice way. But he's like in this mid-60s or something like that, which is surprising.
Yeah,
how
that is
good a touch he has.
Definitely.
So my point is, like, he made some big ones for us when they were trying to get back into the game, and it was a 6-point game, an 8-point game. You know what I mean? Like, you got to make those, especially, like I said, the losing streak we've had in that building. You start missing those, like, you hear the groans and, oh, shit, and, all those things happen, you know what I mean? So it was nice to see that he made, free throws down the stretch, and then Mario was terrific in the second half especially. He has 12 points, goes 4 of 6. 1 of 2 from the downtown, makes all 3 of his free throws, adds 4 rebounds, only 1 assist. That's all right, though. There wasn't much going around. But like I said, that second unit really turned the tides. Tyon was good. Jalen has 4. Tyon has 7. Adam Miller has 9. Right? It's just, you get a second unit that does that, you're tough to beat. And so, I was happy, obviously, for them, but just happy that it was kind of a total team effort. We end up, when we shoot from the field total, 28-56, so 50%, 6 of 16 from downtown, so we're obviously way better. We were 3 for 5 in the second half, hit that big one, like I said, with Braden Smith.
Yeah.
And so that's about 38%. So overall, extremely pleased. We ended up winning by 10, 82-72. Another note again, just for people to think about. I think the line was 11.5.
That's funny.
So, at the end of the game, you're just watching it, and there's like half the crowd that's excited, and then you can hear people like, shoot it, like when it's just like, it's hilarious. It's every time I'm like, oh my God, like somebody's having a heart attack or somebody's like, my parlay's going to hit. Anyway, Vegas is just, even if you don't gamble, I don't gamble on the games, obviously, I don't gamble on sports. But it's just fun to watch because you're like, somebody's heart is going to get broken in those last 2 minutes or minute and a half. And sometimes it's when there's like the walk-ons are in. And that's why it's funny to watch sometimes. You're just like, uh-oh, somebody's night's going to get ruined. But overall, obviously a great win. They were 25th in the poll. They'll get back in the top 25. They're a good basketball team. He'll figure that out. They're built for the Big Ten, as funny as that sounds, like UCLA, but they are. Like, just physical, can win a game in the 70s, can win a game in the 60s, good enough to score 80. You know what I mean? Like they just
that Tyler Bilodeau is.
Yeah, you're right. I have to give him credit, man. He had a terrific game. He has 24, 4-6 from downtown. He kept him in the second half. We really got messed up because we were going, I think, drags on the pick and roll coverages, like bringing our guard like a corral, and so his pick and pops, it was a long run for the next guy, and he was knocking those down.
He was,
And interesting enough, he was a kid from Kamaikan, right up the road, in what Yakima or whatever, Tri-Cities or in that area. Obviously a big high school, so he didn't play at a small high school. That's a 4A school or 3A, one of the two. And he ended up going to Oregon State and then transfers out of there and had a terrific 2 years at UCLA. But it's like, where was he?
Yeah, he grew up a huge Zags fan too.
Yeah, sometimes we don't recruit guys, and that's not a knock. Sometimes they just don't fit our system, or they're not good enough at the right time. Like, I mean, there's a classic story. There's a couple guys we missed, and the biggest one of all time was Joe Harris that ended up going to Wazoo. Then he went with Tony Bennett to Virginia, and then he played in the league for 10 years. And I remember I talked to him randomly one time. We had the same agent, and I had to call him about something. It was when it was early in his career. My agent wanted me to talk to him about something. And then, anyway, I was like, what happened to Gonzaga? He's like, shit, I wanted to go there, man. And he's like, they watched me 10 times and just never offered. And I remember talking to B-Mike about it. And B-Mike was like, we knew he was good enough, but just never played good in front of us. So we just got, and he had a back issue. But it's one of those where you're like, and not in a bad way, but the back issue and then not playing good in front of you. And you're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, he's a 10-year NBA guy. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's a terrific player. So that stuff happens. And it's not because our guys don't have a good eye. It's just sometimes kids don't play good or they don't fit your style, but they fit somewhere else and they end up being really good players. But same thing that Bilodeau kid, you're like, what the fuck? Like, he went to Kamaikan? Like, I never even heard of this kid. But he was terrific. I mean, he's just got size, tough. He's good stroke. He ended up at 24, kept him in the basketball game. That Dent kid too is solid. The point guard. He averaged 20 last year at New Mexico. I know they were hurt that he left, but he was terrific, turning the corner. He has 12 and 10 on 6 field goal attempts. So he goes 3 of 6, and then goes 6 of 8 from the free throw line, but has 10 assists as well. So my point is that's where the corral was coming from, the ball screen stuff. Like, we were trying to keep him from not turning the corner, and when he turned the corner, he made the right decisions and was hitting that pick and pop. But you could see where I think he was the number one and number 2, number 3 transfer guard out of the portal, right?
Okay.
So, but he was terrific. So they're a good basketball team is what I'm trying to get at. Like, this team is going to be fine. They shoot 49%. They shoot 7 of 15 from downtown, 15 of 19. So we just made the right plays at the right time. But I think that will turn into a quad 1 win most likely. And, it's funny. We're all going to have to root for UCLA, but we want them to continue to do well, right?
That's so true.
The rest of the season. But, it was a good, hard-fought win. It made up for last year's. Like I said, it got us off the snide and climb a pledge. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, obviously, we're probably going to always go back to Seattle, but you lose 4 in a row. Coach Few would be like, we can play the game in Portland, or why don't you just come to Spokane? You know what I mean? Let's just play it in the arena. Fuck it. Like, they can drive over. Don't they got cars too? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people from Seattle can fly over, but it was a really good win, but it was like a sigh of relief, I think, for everybody around the program too, because nobody mentions that stuff, but you hear about it, and it's not like a streak that. If it did happen, by oh my god, but it's like, we kind of want to play good over here. But again, to be fair, the teams that we lost to were pretty good basketball teams in that area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the UConn team was pretty special, and then that Alabama one the first year was like, oh my god, remember that? Like, we were down 20 in the first 8, like we were down 14 in the first 8 minutes. I remember looking up, and it was like we played at 1 or something too. It was a weird game, and we're like, I want to go back to bed. Like, just go back to the hotel. This sucks. Like,
so that game in Seattle, like, it feels like it has to happen because those teams probably wouldn't come to Spokane.
No, you're right. Yeah, certain teams are not going to play in their arena or whatever, and you get that. Like, it's not fun to hear for college basketball fans, but also like it's just some teams, like if you play at a neutral or you play at home, you're going to have a better advantage. It still turns into a quad one. I mean, the metrics change a little bit.
Yeah.
But also, like, you protect yourself a little. Like, there's a formula, and I've talked about it in previous seasons. There's a formula to this thing, and people don't like to hear that, but it's like there is a formula to get higher seeds, and doesn't mean you're ducking people, but it's also like you have to schedule some easy ones. You have to schedule some that are in favor of you, and you earn that right. We never did that when I was first started because we didn't earn that right yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we were like, well, we'll play Illinois and Conseco and, like, get our asses kicked. Like, cool, man. Thanks for inviting us. And then we just get boat raced. You know what I mean? Like, you know, then same thing with UW and us. We're like, we'll play each other in the home buildings. Now we'll probably be like, we'll play you in Climate Pledge and then you can play us in the arena. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we'll do neutral. So anyway, it was nice for that to get off the snide and then obviously get a quad 1, quad 2 type of victory. And I was proud of, like, that was a total team win. Obviously our bigs were great. The other guys made plays. Like I said, Mario was terrific from the guard spot. And then Braden Smith's unit, man. I told him that. I saw him in the locker room, was grabbing a slice of pizza in between breaks. And I was like, hey, man, those are really good minutes. And he knew it, you know, and it was nice to see, you know, he's going back home. And he's going back home after a transfer year, losing his starting spot. You know, that's not fun, probably, like, to do and have to talk about. I mean, that obviously happened way earlier. But then to go back home and make real impactful plays, play good, hit a big three. You know what I mean? Like, you just feel good for a kid. You're like, good game, man. Like, so
the arena sounded like it kind of got loud after he made that 3-pointer.
Oh yeah, he got hyped and he had a big smile on his face, and he's been terrific off the bench. Like I think I mentioned in the previous episode, he's 44 and like 11, 44 turnover or assist to turnovers. So like he's been pretty good. Especially coming off changing his role. So he's doing everything that the few in the staff has asked. So, like, my point is, when kids make those type of plays and units make those type of plays, they usually don't show up because you first glance, you're like, oh, are the bigs just dominated? Like, yeah, but that second unit got us back into the game, made, you know, hustle plays, the right reads, and then propelled us to regain control of that game. And then our bigs took us home. And like I said, we knocked down free throws. So all in all, good trip. You know, we got Oregon coming up. I think it's going to be an interesting game because we're playing in Portland.
The Perimeter will be right back after a word from our sponsor.
It's time for Home Team Rewards. Zag fans, get your Bulldog branded ICCU Premier Rewards Visa credit card, the only card where you can earn rewards for everyday purchases while giving back to Gonzaga University. Choose from a Visa Rewards card with a lower rate or a Premier Rewards card with maximum rewards. With no annual fees, card control, and next level security, you can spend smart from tap to app. Zags, rejoice! Find your card at iccu.com/GoZags on approved credit.
You know, we got Oregon coming up. I think it's going to be an interesting game because we're playing in Portland, so one would think that they're going to have, you know, kind of a bigger fan base. We travel well, if that makes sense. But I think the game is close to getting... you know, I think, what is the Rose Garden or whatever it's called now? Holds
Moda Center.
Moda Center holds a certain amount, and I think we're getting close to the ticket allotment. So the crowd should be pretty solid, from what I understand. So I'll be curious to see how many, you know, Zag fans compared to Oregon. They have obviously a bigger fan base.
Right.
They're decent this year.
Yeah, they're 5-5. They had a 5-game losing streak, and then they just broke it, beating UC Davis. So
they were in the what's the one we played in Vegas? Players era. They were in the Players era. I didn't get a chance to watch. I was going to go to one of the games, and then couldn't get out of my bed. I was like, I don't want to go all the way to the arena. You know, I just watched a little bit of TV. I was like, I don't want to get up and do this. They're 85th in the Ken Palm, so take it for what it means. It's a quad 2 opportunity. Dana Altman's been there for 15 years, so obviously he's familiar with the program. They've had some really good years in past. Some really good players come, some pros.
Yeah.
Last year they were 25-10, so they obviously were terrific, and they lost to Arizona as a 5 seed in the second round. So they had a good year last year.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's one of those deals where you're not fully in tune with your team yet with the transfer portal and NIL. We're going to keep saying that forever. But it's one of those teams that the record might not be terrific, but, they have usually pro bodies, obviously experienced coach. And then for them, they're like, hey, man, if we can get this win going into Big Ten play, I think that they've already played some Big Ten games or whatever.
Yeah, they played 2.
But like, hey, if we can get this one, and then, they're not going to say it out loud, but ended up going 22-12, probably in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and start playing well in the Big Ten. So it's a big game for them, obviously for us, but it's probably a bigger game for them as far as tournament resume. But, it's one of those deals where, the Pacific Northwest, or not just Pacific Northwest, but the West Coast, there's probably us, UCLA, obviously Arizona. UW likes to consider themselves in that category. They can get back into it with the new coach that's on his second year, guy from Utah State. So, it's kind of one of those, we're the dominant force type of deal, type of games. I've told this in years past, or I told it, I think it was last year. There used to be a rivalry with Coach Few and Dana Altman, just some stuff way back in the day, probably 15, 16, probably longer than that, 20 years ago.
Okay.
When he was at Creighton.
Oh.
And we were starting our run. I don't know the full details. I don't think it's anything like personal, but there was something weird happened as far as like scheduling or something like that. So they've never played each other until now. Like voluntarily played each other.
Interesting.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we had very similar programs. He's the one that got the Creighton stuff started. Obviously, McDermott's kept it going, but he was the one that kind of got Creighton.
And then he got the Oregon job.
And then he got the Oregon job, and then McDermott took it over, and he's carried it. He's done exactly terrific job, and like 2 good hires. Like if you're Creighton, you're like, good job. So the last time we played him, it was Battle for Atlantis, 2019. We were at that game. Obviously, I called that game. They were number 11. We were number 8. We had some issues injury-wise. Woolrich hurt his wrist. Admon Gilder had to go to the hospital. I think he was sick or something, whatever, the day before.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, oh, crap. That's the team that we had. Corey Kispert. Drew was coming off the bench. Killian Tilly was still there. We ended up only playing 7 guys, which is crazy to even think back then. They had Peyton Pritchard, who's obviously 6th man of the year, terrific NBA player for the Celtics. Little tiny guard. When you first see him, you're like, obviously you knew he's good. He's at Oregon, but you're like, see what he's, and then he's like, really good player. You know what I mean? You're like, oh shit, this is like he's tough and turns the corner, blah blah blah, can shoot. And then that Duarte, who ended up I think it was a lottery pick the year later. It was a terrific game. They were down 17 in the first half. They ended up forcing overtime, and we won 73-72 in the semifinals of that tournament, and ended up losing to Michigan in the final. But I remember how terrific that game. Our high scorers were Philip Petrusev, and then Corey Kispert had 17. Petrusev had 22. But it was one of those weird games where we played literally 7 guys. And like I mentioned, that was the first time we played Oregon under Coach Few. Yeah. And I just talked about the little mini rivalry. So that game was like, I remember that game was like, but we really want this one, guys. I don't think you understand, like, because we've been probably recruiting against each other for 15 years on the West Coast. You know what I mean? Like 2 big programs never played each other because there's kind of some bad blood. You know what I mean? Like just whatever you want to take it as. So, that game was obviously terrific. So my point is, going into this, I'll be curious if they keep this this deal going. It makes sense. But that's my point is that's the reason we haven't played them as much as like a UW or what have you, or UCLA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's just it makes sense because we're 4.5 hours apart or 5 hours, and there's two big fan bases. Like if you broadcast the game in this area on the West Coast, you're probably going to get a decent number.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As far as like, and when I say that, college basketball and college sports, this is an obvious take, is basically controlled by TV executives, right? And so like why'd we play at 8:30 on last game? Because it was the TV slot they gave us.
Yeah.
Like
West Coast too, I imagine.
it
helps.
It helps, and obviously it was 11:30 Eastern. So some people were like, "Who's watching?" It's like we used to play big Monday games at 9, but that's the slot we used to get. We were on ESPN all the time and helped build our program. But it's just like the TV execs make the choices.
And for example, this week Seahawks play on Thursday night.
Yeah,
and so like I imagine they scheduled it so like, this makes sense to have the game on Sunday, right?
Yeah, exactly. So 100%. That's a really good point. Yeah, we're gonna have our game Sunday at 3, or whatever. So yeah, it's a weird. Not weird is the wrong word, but it's an interesting kind of quote unquote rivalry, even though we haven't played each other. If that makes sense. So I'll be curious to see how our guys play. They're a very good team. As far as talent, they haven't put it together yet, but it's one of those teams that can be sneaky, a team that probably could do well in the Big Ten as well. But we should be favored, and I'll be curious to see how much green's in the arena and how much Gonzaga colored blues in the arena.
That would be interesting, yeah.
Because it's obviously close enough, way closer for them, but our fans travel, and obviously we have a lot of fans that like to go to those games, especially the one-offs. Small flights, and you zip down in a 45-minute flight and then zip right back. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It has a chance to be a quad 2, could maybe turn into quad 1 if they get rolling. But it's our last non-conference game. So then we'll head into the WCC. Last time in the WCC it was as well. So looking forward to it. It's been a great week. Obviously, anytime you can beat a really good opponent like UCLA, and then like I said, getting off the snide really helps. In those deals.
My son asked me when we were watching the game on Saturday, he's like, Dad, would you consider UCLA and Gonzaga a rivalry? And I think we've talked about this before. And I was like, I would say so.
Absolutely. The stat I got was we've played each other 10 times in how many years? 15 or whatever it is. And 5 of those games were decided by 5 points or less.
Wow.
I mean, there's all-time classics. Obviously, our game was the first that will live in infamy forever, right? And then the Jalen off the glass in the Final Four.
Yeah.
And then Julian's 3 at the end, in Vegas at the NCAA tournament, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's some all-time classics.
There they are,
We beat them the first time, or like in 20... It was Pango's crew, and then we get to the Elite 8, and we haven't been in the Elite 8 in forever. With Pango, we beat them in that tournament. I think it was Houston or wherever we were at. You know what I mean? So, like, there's been it's a rivalry now. And like I said, I think it's cool that both universities recognize that and play each other. Because a lot of times, especially teams that are recruiting against each other don't avoid, but it's like whoever wins gets the ammo sometimes. I think recruiting's a little bit different now with NIL. I think that stuff doesn't matter as much,
right?
Because like most kids are, well, how much can you pay me? It's like it's not as much of the head-to-head.
Yeah,
but also it is a rivalry. And like we've wound up playing each other like the last 6 years or something. Like we saw those guys in.
Since Indianapolis, we've played them every season.
Yeah, we figured out a way to play them every season. We played them in Vegas with the Chet crew.
Yeah.
That game was a good game as well. We played them in Honolulu, Maui. I remember talking to Tracy Murray in Honolulu, and he was like, how many times have we fucking played each other? Like, aren't we tired of playing each other? We're kind of like laughing, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, not in a bad way. It was just like, we find a way to play each other every single year. So I think it just made sense to get the deal.
Definitely.
Together and all those things. So, yeah, it was a great week. We played Campbell on Wednesday. Where are they located?
They're located in North Carolina. I lost where.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that's about.
That's North Carolina's close enough. You got to the right state.
Bowie's Creek.
Bowie's Creek, where's that at? Do we know the geography?
Is it in the triangle? I wonder. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't even know. That's funny.
But I will say, like, the most interesting stat when I was doing a little bit of research on Campbell was they just beat a team, Virginia Lynchburg, who are a D1 school, 149-62.
Oh, okay.
And they shot 98 shots, made 63 of them, only made 16 threes, and that high of a score.
Yeah.
And only went to the foul line 11 times,
So
made
they
7
were
of them.
getting like layups and that's crazy.
But
it's not very good defense.
not very good defense. No.
149-62. That sounds like an old like 80s NBA game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where there's
totally.
like, we're not playing defense.
I was trying to
tonight.
look
Fuck
up if it was the highest scoring game of the season, but I couldn't. I didn't have enough time to figure that out.
It probably is. 149 makes complete sense.
Yeah.
What do you got for the stat of the week?
So the stat of the week, presented by M4CPA, I ran across this stat when I was looking at all-time Zags stats. I look at this quite often just to kind of see how our players are currently stacked up against other past Zags. And the one that stuck out to me that I was just like, oh, this is because when you look at all-time and like season lists, like it's the who's who of Gonzaga basketball players, and obviously we're only like maybe
We're halfway. Yeah.
And what I noticed was that Mario St. Superi currently leads Zags all time in steal percentage. Now, this is a stat that's only been tracked since 2009, but he's at 4% at a steal percentage. And for those who want to know what a steal percentage is, it's a percentage of estimated opponent possessions that end with the steal by the player while the player's on the court.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never heard of that.
So it's at 4, but like this list of Gonzaga players is like the who's who. It's like Jalen Suggs, it's Anton Watson, it's the Nembhard brothers. Like it's just a ton of.
It's a weird stat.
It is a weird stat.
He does fly around defensively.
Yeah.
He is a better defender. I think he gets bad officiating on the defensive end. Like he picked up that early foul against UCLA, like where he's walling up. But anyway, like he's super active, flies around. But steal percentage, I'm like, oh, they're making shit up.
I don't.
now.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a weird stat.
No, it's a cool stat, but you're like, okay, how does this equate? Okay, 4%. So is that like 4% good? You know, anytime you hear under 10%, you're like, is that good?
I guess it just means anytime he's on the court, there's a 4% chance right now that he's going to steal the ball.
Steal the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
But I will say, like what tipped me off on it was he had that steal, his one steal of the game last game, and then he had a breakaway and had an amazing Euro step.
Yeah, no, the slow one too. Yeah, like it was a terrific finish. Yeah, you're right. Like it was like a boom, boom, the slow one. Then he went off the glass.
Yeah.
Like, oh, nice play.
I think if you're like teaching kids how to do a Euro step, that was.
I hate the Euro step for kids too. By the way, I do.
I don't.
I hate it.
I don't think it's very easy to. It was not. You can't really teach kids it.
I think it's overused.
And it looks like a travel too.
It looks like a travel, and I think their power outages happen, and then I think kids. It's supposed to be a read, and they just do it to do it. I don't teach, especially on the girls' side. I teach go off 2, so I hate the move.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's a terrific move at the higher levels, but I think as kids, like it creates a power outage. They get stretched out, and then I think this is my personal opinion, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Like you're stretching yourself out, especially on the girls' side, to get a knee injury because you're off balance and. You know, if you're going full speed and somebody's coming to challenge you got to brace yourself and be able to take the contact and then maybe land or fall down the right way. And I know it sounds funny. So my point is the Euro step gets overtaught on the youth side, especially the girls side, and I just think it's a bad play. But his was terrific. His looked great, but I'm a finish off 2 guy. But you're right. It was nice because he did the slow burn one, which is the right way to do it. But I think some guys go long step, and then that third jump. Unless you're a terrific athlete, it's hard to go vertical.
Yeah.
So my point is you kind of have a power outage. And if you play it right, if you see it, and then you can jump vertical with them and they have no lift. And I've seen guys smoke them all the time. It's like, no, you should have just came down and gone off 2. That's a discussion for another time. But the Euro step, I'm like, yeah, I'll teach my son, like, finish off 2. We can do that in high school, but we're finishing off 2.
We didn't touch on this for the UCLA game, and I kind of want to actually ask this question for the Oregon game is for the McGilvery's Foundation Player of the Game. We've talked a lot about Graham Ike, Braden Huff this year. About they've been our Foundation Player of most games.
All the games.
And they're going to probably be all year. But looking towards the Oregon game, like, who would you like to see have a game against Oregon that, like, is kind of a breakout game?
Well, I'd like to see Steele Venters get back on track shooting the ball. I think he was 0 for 2 or whatever the UCLA game. Didn't play bad.
Right.
Not a lot of opportunities. But basically any of our perimeter guys, Emmanuel, Steele, they weren't terrible in that first unit, but they didn't really have an impact.
Yeah.
And they've been terrific, all season. They've had impactful games. We talked about that in the past episodes. So I think to get the starter guys going would be nice, but also that's the beauty of this club. Those 2 guys could be serviceable and not play great, and then we talked about the second unit, and then we've seen it flip. We've seen Emmanuel have 5 threes one game, and in the same game, Steele had 4, right? You know what I mean? So, like, it that's the beauty of this club, but it'd be nice to get the starting unit perimeter guys going offensively.
Yeah.
But part of that is, scout. Like, when you make 5 threes, if you're Emmanuel, you're going to get scouted. They're going to close out on you. Same thing. Steele. Everybody knows Steele can shoot, so then that's the same thing. They're going to play you high and probably have their heels on the top of the 3-point line to make you drive it.
Yeah.
But those 2 guys would be the ones. But our 2 lefties got to play good for us to win any game. So
it was really cool seeing Huff and Ike have, like, amazing first halves.
100%. They kept us in it.
Yeah.
And especially against that zone, it's harder said than done to hit the middle and then obviously play through that. But it was cool watching them both banging a 3. You know what I mean? It's like, all right.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
I have 2 quick questions. The first one, I just want to give a shout out to Spokesman Review doing the article on Addison, your daughter.
That was fun.
Like, we got a good feedback, like a lot of feedback from listeners and followers on Instagram from it. And I was just like, and it was such a well-written article. And
Dave Nichols did a terrific job.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, he's really good with, obviously, prep sports, a great writer, but understood, like, kind of because I've kind of avoided that stuff for her in years past because I knew that stuff was coming probably down the pike. And he was really respectful about, maybe we don't talk about this, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's watched her play legitimately for 3 years, so he knows her game, too. It's not like he just looked and like, oh, how are you? Like, he's watched her. I mean, he watched her all last season. She had a great, regionals and state leading up to state. Like, she had some big time 29. She had 22. She had 24. You know what I mean? I played really, really well. So, like, he knew her game, so it was cool. It was fun.
Nice. Well, the last Ask Adam question from Idaho Central Credit Union is from YouTube, and it is, why does the perimeter? We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
It's time for Home Team Rewards. Zag fans, get your Bulldog branded ICCU Premier Rewards Visa credit card, the only card where you can earn rewards for everyday purchases while giving back to Gonzaga University. Choose from a Visa Rewards card with a lower rate or a Premier Rewards card with maximum rewards. With no annual fees, card control, and next level security, you can spend smart from tap to app. Zags, rejoice! Find your card at iccu.com/GoZags on approved credit.
From Idaho Central Credit Union is from YouTube, and it is, why does Braden Huff have little to no backspin on his shots?
Like, as far as like his floaters?
Yeah. I mean, like, I know that the spin on the ball is, like, that's something that a lot of players work on. Like, the less spin, easier it goes in, right? Is that true?
No, the more spin.
More spin is
you want
better.
more. You want more spin. More
Okay.
backspin. The
More
more
backspin.
backspin, the better.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want a knuckleball.
See, and this is why I'm asking, like, so does he not have much spin on his ball? Like, is that?
I think he does.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, like, I think he does. Like, maybe his floaters are kind of shot putty, but they're not. They go in.
Okay.
So I don't know. Like, he has. Maybe from 3, he maybe needs a little bit more.
Okay.
But Hey, if you watch probably the greatest shooters of all time, and there's a ton of backspin. Steph Curry coming first to mind. Like, look at his shot; it's complete, backspin.
Backspin, okay.
Same thing. It's any great shooter.
Yeah.
Like if you shoot a knuckleball, you don't have a prayer.
Okay.
Arch and backspin to me, and obviously balance, but arch and backspin, it's just a math problem after that. If you have the proper arch, not too much, but you've got to have it above a certain line. In my opinion, there's actually a thing that some programs use. I think we have one. It's called Noah's. They call it Noah's Ark, and it sits on the wall, and then whatever technology you shoot it, and then it'll yell out your arch.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so like it's really good for free throw shooting too, like especially if a guy, and there's a number, I don't know the number off the top of my head, that if you're above that number within a thing, like percentage wise, it's just a math problem then.
It is a math problem.
Yeah, it's a math problem.
Interesting.
And then you want the backspin, because if you shoot a knuckleball and it hits the rim, a lot of times it'll bounce off. The great shooters you see a lot, it hits the rim and still goes in. Here's a perfect example of a guy that shot a knuckleball in our career. Corey Kispert shot a knuckleball his first probably year and a half, 2 years. And I remember after his freshman year, obviously I watched all the games. He sent me a really nice text like, hey, obviously I had freshman year, I played all right. What do you think I need to work? What's the biggest things you've seen? And he just did it out of nowhere. And I really appreciate it, because I'm like, he's like, give me the honest of what I need to work on.
Yeah.
So I gave him a long reply of like points that I saw, here's what needs to improve as your career goes on. And the first one I said, you shoot a hard ball, and we call it a hard ball, where if it's online but it hits the rim, it never goes in. The best shooters you see don't just swish it. They hit the rim and it still pops in. That's backspin and arch.
Gotcha.
And then I was like, you shoot it on the bottom, like kind of at the apex of your release instead of on the way up. And so obviously over the years he improved that.
Yeah.
And then by his senior year he was shooting fucking like 45%. Remember, he had a game where he had like 9 threes, and now he's still in the league playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and he's going to get another contract. Blah blah blah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So to that point with Braden, backspin and arch are like the two most important things I think when developing a shot. Especially at the younger ages.
Gotcha.
If you see a kid with earth spin, we call it earth spin, or like if there's a thumb on the ball.
Yeah. You see that a lot with kids. The thumb on the
with the thumb, and that's a strength thing.
Yeah.
But you have to take that out. Even if it's going in now, it turns into, just percentage wise, it doesn't go in long term.
Interesting.
And like my son now shoots it pretty online, but he kind of shoots a hard ball, and I've been working on it. But he shoots a hard ball, so sometimes it's like perfectly online and it hits the back rim and always goes out. So it's like, but he's 9. But it's if you see that, you got to correct it. So the best shooters are soft, but Braden's touch is so soft.
Yeah.
So like,
I think he must be talking about from around the rim, because they do kind of just like
but the shot put around the rim is okay.
Yeah.
If you get enough arch. I always believe this is, and I tell guards this: when you shoot your floaters, you shoot the same motion. Some guys push it, and if you're really good, it'll go in. It's fine. But I teach you still shoot the same motion, because if it hits the rim, you want to be able to bounce in, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think Braden's obviously shot is fine. His touch is probably him and Drew probably have the best touch around the rim for any of our posts ever.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew is probably, as far as footwork, Drew probably has the best, and then Braden, as far as like making those like 8-footers, like where they almost seem like they're always go in. Like, it is crazy how many he makes of those.
Yeah.
When he misses, like he airballed one, I think, in that game. And whoa, shit! I've never seen that. But you're also like, okay, he makes 9 out of 10 or
Right.
8 out of 10 of them. But like, he literally makes those short roll ones are so hard to do, and they're such a skill set, because then your pick and roll coverages change, because he can hit the short roll, and from 12 to 8 it's like almost automatic.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that. It's a great question, whoever asked it, but whatever, man.
I know. I just find. I mean, I learned something today, because I just assumed like less spin near the rim is better, but that's not true at all.
I think around the rim, I think obviously if you can make those, but spin matters.
Yeah.
And then like the all-time greats know how to use the glass. John Stockton called it layup package, and especially a small guard, you got to have a layup package if you're not a leaper. Anybody needs to have one, but it helps. Perfect example is Kyrie Irving is like one of the greatest of all time at it. How many times have you seen him do like crazy like backyard horse spins, right? And you're playing horse and you're like, all right, I'm going to flip it and hit the top of the square and it's going to English off. He does it at full speed with both hands against 7-footers, but you're like, holy shit, that's a developed skill.
Yeah.
But it helps because he's obviously he's athletic, but he's not like a leaper over the top of you.
Yeah.
And John was the same way as far as obviously a below the rim player. You got to have every type of layup in your game. Reverse, jump hook layup, and then obviously off to full speed, reverse. You know what I mean? Like you have to have all of those things. So I think when you're developing young players, that's stuff you have to work on. Everybody assumes once you can make a layup. It's like, no, you got to be able to make these at full speed in traffic. Because if you can't, and then it just hampers your defense or your offense, right?
Yeah.
Obviously the 2 points, but then you can't really attack bigs correctly. Or if you're attacking bigs, a lot of people fall into the trap of, take it. It's a great shot. It's like, well, if the kid hasn't worked on it, as an opposing coach, sometimes I'm like, let Susie go take that layup. I know she hasn't made like a running left hand going the opposite way, but that's the shot it presented. Like, go ahead. You know what I mean? She might make one, but you're not going to make the next 4.
Watching a lot of 4th grade basketball right now, and I could totally see that.
Exactly. I mean, it's a real thing. Or when you press a team and they throw it ahead and they're like, oh, that's a great shot. And it's like, well, it's their 4th best player taking a 17-footer. Like, go ahead and take it.
Yeah.
Wide open. She's wide open. Take it. You know what I mean? Like, we're guarding the other 2 other girls up the floor. Go ahead, take it. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what comes into it.
Super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors, McGilvery Environmental, Idaho Central Credit Union, M4 CPA. We'll be back next week with a recap.
Awesome.
Thanks.